Hey guys, here to do another Transformers video today. This time we're going to be having a look at the very first Headmaster I got. This was of course when eBay was a fine and reasonable place to go to for Transformers. Those days have long since passed, I'm afraid, but we're going to be having a look at my first horrorcon as well, because he's a horrorcon. Of course, it's Apeface. So let's get straight on to the video and get a look at this guy.
Okay guys, here's Apeface. I love Apeface. I'll say it now, I just love him. I think he's great. But let's get on to his alt mode. And by alt mode, of course, I mean his jet mode. And again, I am so into this jet mode. I love the colours. I love the design aesthetic, the shape of it. The only issue I really have with it is around the back you have the gorilla feet and the robot arms and a bit of a boring back. But apart from that, it does everything I want it to. This is the era of Transformers that really made me fall in love with the vehicles and stuff. They just have such a nice shape to them and such good use of colours. It really pops to me and does everything I could possibly want it to do. So yeah, here's the jet, and we do of course have some little landing gears on the bottom here, nice spinniness. I mean, these are old as I am, so it's pretty good. And you do unfortunately have the gun left over, but what you can do with it if you choose to is there are ports over his arms, you know, in his shoulders and in his fists. So what I like to do is I like to kind of put it in this one here, the hand hole, and have it kind of like a mortar, like it would shoot upwards maybe at people above him or slightly above him or something. And the front guns would be there. I don't know, that's how I go for it. And of course he has this lovely cockpit with a rub symbol on top. Really nice and translucent. You open it up and you've got Spasmer. Yep, Spasmer, what a name. It's got a nice flip to it as well, the cockpit, and a nice click down when you push it down, click. But it is a little wobbly, but that's not a huge issue really. So Spasmer, an unfortunately named Headmaster guy, which we'll never get again, really. Though we did get Spastic. Spasmer's pretty cool with tiny little boots, some black pants and a white top, I guess. And some okay detailing. His other side obviously holds both of the heads, the robot head and the giant gorilla head, but he's got quite a nice little head, and this is as good of a shot as I could get for him, I'm afraid. But I don't know, Spasmer, he kind of does it, you know, he's good. His articulation is exactly what you would expect it to be, with all this kibble on the back, but that's fine, that's what Headmasters are. It is a bit wobbly because I've loosened the screw, but that allows me to move his arms up and down freely without the fear of them breaking, because if this back piece was a little tighter on, then the arms could potentially break, and there are a lot of Headmasters that have their arms broken off because of this. The legs do move kind of individually, at least at the knee, so you can have him in that kind of pose, but they are pretty much stuck together. You can have him in a sitting pose, such as that, if you've got tiny chairs, I suppose, or you can stretch his legs out, and of course they bend inwards as well for the actual Headmaster gimmick. That's just how they work. He does everything he probably should do for this kind of 1987 Transformer toy Headmaster. But how about we get him and Apeface and combine them together? Now, Apeface in his ape mode is kind of silly. He's not hiding the fact he's a giant robotic gorilla. He ain't gonna be in disguise at all, and that's kind of why I like him, because he's not ashamed of what he is. Though around the back you can see the robot head, and he has a lot of ugly junk around that area, which is a big shame in my opinion. But the head mold, I really do like the mono visor, the teeth, and the little rivets and all that stuff. It comes off really well. It's just a shame he's just... I don't know. So Apeface's articulation consists of lots of clicky joints, like here in the foot. We've got a knee joint and can go that far. We also have an ankle joint with a big old ratchet, which can be a little bit fiddly to get. There we go. Lots of defined places for it to go, and not many you can use to balance him. We also have a thigh joint. Again, not too great. And the arms can move, but again, that's mainly for balance as far as I can tell. The arms are again on ratchety joints and can go all the way around, basically. We do have an elbow joint as well, which just obviously goes down, so you can have him, I don't know, like he's like that, I guess. He also has a little paw joint as well. Yeah, creepy little paws, but, you know, they can move, I suppose. No head articulation. And like I mentioned, very hard to get a center of balance on this guy. You need to just fiddle around with him. You can also get him into kind of more of a, you know, a gorilla run pose, I suppose, if you straighten his legs out and you straighten his arms out. So, you know, it's like that. The issue is, obviously, this whole back section looks kind of awful. You could maybe use that as a tail, but it just doesn't look good from the back. You need to look at this guy from the front, which is why I usually pose him, you know, standing up kind of thing, just so it helps hide his back piece, which is the downfall, as I mentioned before. But balancing him is tricky. A little awkward. Come on. Come on. You can do it, Apeface. There you go. And again, you have accessories left over, his shield and his gun. So, what can you do with these? The same as you could for the jet. Find a port and plug them in. Looks way more ridiculous on the gorilla here. Shame the gorilla can't hold either of these, but there you go. You can lop them on his leg and he can look ridiculous. But, you know, you may think he already looks ridiculous, but it's something you can think of. But let's take Spasma, and it's time to make him a robot. Now in robot mode, Apeface, I think, is pretty good. He has a good look to him, apart from maybe a bit of a thin waistline, but that's due to the transformation. Maybe his arms could be a little bit longer, but overall I'm fairly happy. The back, again, a very, very ugly part about this toy. Something you just have to get over with Apeface. And again, I really do like how the head's turned out. Nice and purple with a silver in face and the mask over the top. It just works well for me. It does everything I want it to do. Now, his articulation has improved since the gorilla mode. The arms obviously go around on this nice ratchety joint. Once they hit here, you got to move that, and then you can spin them all the way around. And they're on ratchets too, of course. The head can kind of look, it can't go left and right, but what you can do because of the leg joints here is you can kind of tilt it up. So it's almost like he's looking up. Obviously, you can't have it all the way up, but if you have it at a slight angle, you know, you can make it a little bit more interesting. The legs move actually on two joints here. We have a thigh and a knee, which is kind of odd for G1 toys, all thanks to the transformation, of course. Doesn't go back too far, but you know, with these two joints you can get way more posability out of him than most G1 toys, which is cool. Now, back on my old review, I didn't have these parts transformed correctly because this part was all loose. Now it can move, and I'll just show you how I was able to do this. Because this back piece is on a joint, so it does clip down. But what was wrong with mine was it was missing a screw on the inside, so I had to knock out the pin here and take out the three screws here, I should say, and then add a screw onto the bottom to hold everything together. Now it works perfectly. So that's why my old video had to have these parts like down like this, and then I had to flip the feet down just to hold this backpack up. And it makes a vast improvement, I think, when that part actually works. I mean, look at it. You've either got that half without the big shoulder pad, or you got that half with the big shoulder pad. And I'm more in favor of the big shoulder pad because, you know, that's more screen accurate to how he was. And if we can get him to stand, what we'll do is we'll give him his accessories, which of course are the gun and the shield again. And of course you can put them where you like. I'll put one in this hand and I'll put this one in this port. Strangely enough though, the peg's long, but it doesn't go nice and flush just because of the arm. And of course we have this gimmick here, the Headmaster gimmick. For those that don't know, here is how it works. If we get another Headmaster unit like, I don't know, Zarak here, and we'll take off Spasma. Still, what a name, guys. You'll notice that around the shoulder area they have different sized little ports. And this is in conjunction with these little bits in here, which allow the little dials to move up and down. So let's get Zarak into a head mode and plop him on. And you'll notice, of course, now that he has a different reading compared to what Apeface had. So it's a nice little feature, nice little play feature that that the cartoon never really did anything with, but the Japanese one did. So there we go, there's Apeface back together, and that's about all his articulation and accessories. So my final thoughts on this guy. I really do like Apeface a lot. He was my first Headmaster, and therefore has a little special place in my heart. One of the first things I bought off eBay back in the day when things weren't ridiculously expensive as they are now. A lot of fun, a good triple changer, which is quite nice. I mean, he does have a big old backpack, but he's a Headmaster, so I gotta love him. And he turns into a giant monkey. I don't know, guys. I'm so far into this stuff that it's probably not even fair for me to give my opinion. I'd say get it, obviously, but it's entirely up to you. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I will catch you for another video very soon, hopefully. Catch you later, guys.